All right, hello everyone, and welcome to Zoo School. Today is Meet an Animal Friend Friday, and I am Kaylin, and I brought some really special friends to meet you guys today. So these are African Pygmy Hedgehogs. So this is Becky, who I'm holding right here, and then in our little playpen down here foraging, that is Barb. And you'll notice if you look at these guys, they're really cool. They have some really cool, unique characteristics that we're gonna talk about today. So first, with hedgehogs, obviously we call them African Pygmy Hedgehogs. So they are from Africa, and this is Africa Week here at the Zoo School. So we thought the hedgehogs would be perfect to come meet you guys today. And they're from the central parts of Africa, so kind of spanning the coast from east to west all across Africa is where you can find them. And they're called African Pygmy Hedgehogs. Hedgehogs is kind of a funny name. They're called hedgehogs because they can be found rooting underneath the hedges of various plants. So that's how they got the name hedgehog. Hog because they make kind of these like pig-like grunts whenever they're foraging for their food. So that's how they got the name hedgehog. If you look at them, you'll see some really, really cool special adaptations. The first and most obvious one are these spines all over their back. So those spines are actually modified hairs, and they're hollow in the center, and they're made of exactly the same material that our hair and fingernails are made out of. It's called keratin. So these are really, really important to help protect the hedgehog. They have between 3,000 and 5,000 spines on their back. And then you can see the rest of their face and their stomach is covered in more softer hair. But these spines are really important for protection for our hedgehogs. So whenever they feel nervous, or if something may be kind of coming to interact with them that they think may be out to prey on them, they actually can curl up into a ball, a really tight ball. They put their head down, they kind of cover their bodies, and stick their spines straight out. And this is, they're really kind of prickly and sharp on the ends, and that helps protect them because if something touches that prickly sharp spine, it detours them from the hedgehog. They don't really want to mess with it anymore. They have some other really cool adaptations as well. So you'll notice Becky here has a really, really long nose. And if I can get her to turn around, she's a really long nose, and it's wet at the end. So that wet, long nose. So they use that for their incredible sense of smell. So they have a really, really good sense of smell. And they also have these really large ears. If you look in at her face, she wants to face me today, that's all right. If you look in, you'll see these really large ears on the side of her head as well. So those really large ears, anytime you see an animal with large ears, you can automatically kind of infer that they have really good hearing to capture sound. So that long, wet nose and those really big ears helps them in foraging and what they're eating. So they're mainly eating insects is what they like to eat. So when they're foraging around for insects, they use those big ears to hear, that long, wet nose to smell really, really well, and that's how they find their food. They typically have really, really bad eyesight overall, so they can't see very well, but they make up for it with those big ears and that really, really good sense of smell that they have. One more really cool adaptation that hedgehogs have is these short, sturdy legs, but they're very, very strong. And then they have these curled claws at the end of their toes, and that helps them dig around. So a lot of the insects that they're eating are in the ground. So they need to use these really strong legs, long toes with those curled claws to dig in the ground and find what they're eating. So this is a question and answer too. So if you guys have any questions about Becky, who I'm holding here, or Barb, who's still investigating over here on the floor, feel free to ask them and I will try to answer them to the best of my ability. All right. So Becky and Barb are ambassador animals here at the zoo, and this is actually their first time being used for an education program. I'm gonna swap out and put Becky down real quick and grab Barb over here. So Barb can come and see you guys. You see their coloring's a little bit different too. Barb's actually a little bit more of a normal color. See, she has more darker features. They have banding on their spines. It's kind of white and brown and then white again. Becky over there has a little bit more white on her.
Do they like belly rubs?
So our hedgehogs, they don't love belly rubs too much. They are nocturnal animals, so most of the time during the day, they're actually pretty quiet. They're sleeping during the daytime, and then they're very active at night.
What do they like to eat?
So they like to eat insects. It's their main thing. What we feed them here is an insectivore kibble that they eat, and then they get a few pieces of produce as well, and then a couple crickets every single day.
How long do they live?
Great question. How long do they live? So they live typically between 3 to 5 years. Becky and Barb are somewhere between 1 to 2 years. We aren't exactly sure how old they are. And they can actually live a little bit longer though, but 3 to 5 years is the average.
Are Becky and Barb siblings?
So we don't know. They were actually surrendered to a local animal shelter, and then they were transferred over to a hedgehog rescue, and we got them from the hedgehog rescue. So we are not quite sure exactly how old they are. All right, if that's all our questions for today, I just wanted to thank you guys so much for watching our videos and liking and sharing them. We also have our emergency operating fund still going while the zoo is closed. We're still here caring for our animals, giving them the best of care. If you're able to donate to our emergency operating fund, we greatly, greatly appreciate it. Thank you all so much for watching us on Meet an Animal Friend Friday, and we will see you for another exciting week of Zoo School next week. Bye.